Hey there, Trader Tim from eMiniMind.com here doing a Monday market analysis video. It's the 6th of May 2019 and we're going to jump into the E-mini S&P. Now the drawing that I have up on the daily chart here, you'll notice it's from the 1st of April, swing low to highs. And originally I had this major swing low drawn up, but then last week when we bounced here, I just retrofitted my drawing given the bounce, and then we ended up holding that 61.8 today. Sometimes I'll do that if we have a situation like this where it's a kind of a sizable rally off of a level. Like we sold off here on the 2nd and then rallied throughout the day to close in kind of this spinning top, and then we gapped up. So by the end of the day, we're at 49s, and the 50% is all the way down here at 2907. So, 40-point move. I'm going to put a little bit of weight on that level, and it kind of proved today that we opened just at lows from that May 2nd day there, dipped a little bit, and then pretty much trended up all day long. We don't have quite as much news this week, but doesn't mean that it won't be a volatile week. If we look at the VIX, what happened when the market went down, the VIX is, we did get a spike above the 8th of March. And then if we come over to the S&P, and we look at where the 8th of March is, it's this swing low back here. So we weren't able to close below it, but just notice like the trend in the S&P is pretty strong, definitive higher highs and higher lows. But then if we come over to the VIX, we see that the highs are kind of all aligned with each other. Um, Being in the mid-teens is still very, very low, but the VIX hasn't really been able to go. Look at the trend down here, like a little bit higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low in, well, we'll say since the middle of April, and then in the S&P, you know, flattening out but still moving a little bit higher. So I'm watching the VIX just for a bigger spike and a close above some of these levels as well. But as of now, yes, we had the gap down, but it was bought into. And so it's kind of aligned with what we've seen on all of these pullbacks here. When we have these gap downs that look like they're going to be more of a major trend change, they end up just being bought and then we rally. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we continue upwards the rest of this week. Let's talk a little bit about today's trading. So we gapped down in the morning, and then right away we got a pretty strong rally. The NYSE tick gave a couple of very extreme low readings, which is expected. You just kind of ignore those in the first couple of minutes. And if we draw from low to high, we didn't make a full 50% retracement pullback in the first 15 minutes. So that, was a sign that we're pretty bullish right out of the gate. Drawing up the opposing short, you'll see we broke that 61.8, but we didn't quite make it into the first retracement at 20.08 and a quarter. It touched it, but it needed to go one more tick to get a fill there. So I didn't get filled on that. But then the next retracement long here, can see that I have drawn up. Traded really nicely at its 50% retracement here, 29.10s. I drew the opposing short. That broke its 61.8, so then I just drew up the next long, took that one. So not taking it at the bigger setup, because if I would just put an order out here at 29.10 and a quarter, my stop would not be below the 61.8. So that's why I wait. I wait for the opposing setup to break and then come in here and draw the smaller setup. So using a 29.11 75, your 6-tick stop is well outside of the 61.8. So this one got going, I don't know, pretty quick. I mean, a couple of minutes of this chop, but then we broke highs here broke above highs. I brought my stop up underneath this swing low. Right about that same time, we got a first 2-point target hit. Pulled back a little bit, rallied pretty hard, and we rallied into a high tick of the day. So if we come in here, zoom in on the nicey tick, right here at 11, 711, we had a slushy. No, we had a high tick of the day at high price. So I ended up moving my stop underneath this swing low. Normally I would be conservative with half of the remainder and then aggressive with the other half. On a situation like this, where I'd leave my stop down here for half of it and then tighten it on half. But since we got a high tick, high nicey tick that lined up with high price, I ended up putting the whole position under this swing low and got taken out right at 15s. So a nice little winner. And then the flip side of that, I got taken out of that one, and then immediately, so we had this little double top at a high tick of the day. I ended up taking the short here that ended up also being a 15. It was 15 and a quarter, and we traded down to 14 and a quarter, and I did tighten my stop above these little swing highs here. If you draw the next, draw the full retracement, that 61.8 lines up nicely there. So putting your stop above the little triple top here, if you want to call it that, was a good spot. But it did not get any follow through. You can see this 29.1475 happens to be the top of the first 30-minute range. It was early in the day. It was a nice little double top with a high ticket highs. So I thought there'd be a decent chance that we could break back into the first 30-minute range and trade all the way down to lows. And then we didn't. So I was able to at least tighten my stop on the position before getting taken out. So then from there, seeing that we then broke highs without a new high ticket highs, I drew up the next long. And we didn't have any corresponding high ticks up in these highs here. So we're just going to move forward and move forward here on the 512 tick chart. Interestingly, the overnight, like right when we opened in the gap down, things were super technical. I was kind of following along yesterday evening, and it was a very, very technical market. So I figured there'd be a lot of, computerized algorithmic trading happening in the overnight, and I thought we'd be pretty technical during the day too, but things kind of fell apart a little bit in here. So let me zoom out, get a better reference. Here's the next bigger retracement. So I'm not going to place my limit order here. This one's close, like a 14.75 would put your stop at 13 and a quarter, but it's still a little bit big. So I decided not to take that limit there. What I ended up doing is I drew the opposing. We had this kind of triple bottom, and when we broke up here, I drew up the next retracement, and I ended up taking this one here at a 29.16 that did come down and stop me out. We broke the opposing. Usually that's a strong sign that we're going to rip, but we didn't end up rallying yet. We came down and tagged it a fourth time and then took off higher. So that was number 3. Let me move forward. So now we're above the high of the first 30-minute range. And then the next one here, we came right from the 50, traded up to the negative 23. And this one, at 51s, we got a high ticket highs. I was really looking forward to taking the next long setup at 29.18s. But we got this high tick that lined up with highs. I was keeping in mind that we didn't get a real deep pullback on the last one, but it was really kind of too hard not to take this little short. So I ended up taking the short. It didn't get Again, a ton of follow through before it reversed, but it was a nice little double top with a high tick at highs. So I did not end up taking the 29.18 long. Uh, that ended up being the better option, and the short was not. But you can't get them all right. So I was fine with that, and that was really it. So that was my morning, kind of nothing super exciting, but a few little opportunities in there that I was hoping would maybe turn into something bigger. But on the plus note, with this kind of, well, I guess it's positive and negative, with a 43, almost 44 point range candle, there's a possibility tomorrow that will be inside of this range of today. And that could lead to some range bound blah trading, shorting highs, buying lows. But if we break highs at 38 and a quarter, then we may get another big body candle that can push us even higher, especially coming off of today's gap down. So might be a great day, might be a so-so day, but today was kind of your average day, a nice winner, couple losers, but they kind of all offset each other on a day like today. So the point is that you're out there looking for the best opportunities and trying to keep track of, okay, how does this setup compare with that same setup? Comparing double top at highs with a nice high tick at highs, comparing uh, double bottoms at a 50% retracement, larger 50% retracement. And then you can kind of compare setup results to like setup results. And I find that to be really helpful. I still like to keep my P&L kind of in a column and just compare like, oh, okay, here was a nice string of, 3 winners in a row. And then here's a string of 3 losers in a row. Or, wow, I've had a lot of like little scratch trades. And then, oh, wow, here's a couple like intermittent big winning trades. But then you can see, rather than just looking at the day, okay, I had 4 trades today, I had 1 trade today. You can see like, oh, here are my last 30 trades, and here's what the P&L looks like. And so you might have 3 days in a row where you have 1 trade, but then when you look at things in a big column, it gives you more perspective of the last, sometimes couple of weeks. So if you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email, tim@emoneymind.com. And we're doing a live trading session tomorrow. You can check that out at emoneymind.com/VIP. Thanks and have a great week.